The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is directed by its producer leadership. Each year, cattlemen representing different segments of the industry and different parts of the country are elected to help guide the association. And joining me in our studio is that group. Bill Donald is a Montana cattleman and president of NCBA. J.D. Alexander comes to us from Nebraska, where he operates a feed yard and is the president-elect of the association. And Scott George comes to us from Wyoming as a dairy producer. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to the show.
Good to be here.
Good.
Well, let's begin with a similar question to all three of you. I'll start with you, Bill. Why are you an NCBA member? Give us a little bit about that background.
Well, I originally got involved with some issues in Montana and through the Montana Stock Growers Association, which is the NCBA affiliate. And when I got into that organization, I got interested in all the different issues that impact cattlemen across the state. And I got into leadership, and when I got into the officer rotation of Montana Stock Growers, that put me on the board at NCBA, where I was exposed to all the issues all over the country. And I found that fascinating and thought that maybe I should give something back to the industry from which I derive my living. So I volunteered to be in the leadership at NCBA.
J.D., what about you? What brought you to NCBA?
Well, very similar situation. I think everybody in the cattle business gets started on their local level, and that usually leads to something else. Once I became into the local level, I got to be on the executive committee of the Nebraska Cattlemen. Eventually worked my way up to be president. And normally when you get into those positions, you also get a position on the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And that really got us involved, went to a lot of meetings, get into items that you're really interested in. And it just, it's kind of the staying factor. You're very involved, very interested, and things get more and more enlightened, and you want to be a part of something good like NCBA, so the rest is history.
Scott, a lot of people think of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association just being about beef cattle. You're a dairy producer. Tell us about your involvement at NCBA and what brought you to the organization.
I actually came from a different side of this. I got involved in the beef promotion end of this business, and as I came in contact with NCBA, I saw how they were also dealing with the political issues, the defending our right to stay in business and defending our right and helping us be profitable in our business. And I found it to be an organization that helps all segments of the industry be profitable, and I like that. And I've been very pleased with this organization, how they look at the issues, find solutions, how they're trying to promote the product that we produce to our consumers and address the issues that they've got concerns about. And so that's why I'm here today.
That's great. Bill, let me turn back to you. You've had some recent wins in Washington, D.C. and otherwise. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about some of those key accomplishments?
This has been a great year. NCBA's D.C. team has been absolutely phenomenal, on target. After 5 years, we finally got 3 free trade agreements passed with South Korea, Panama, and Colombia. Those are huge. They'll put many dollars back in producers' pockets. One of the other things about the South Korean Free Trade Agreement is using it for a template for other countries in the Asian Rim. So that's going to put a lot of money in producers' pockets. On the other side of the issues, what we look at is how do we have a freedom to operate, and we were successful in getting the Grain Inspection and Stockyards Administration's proposed rules on cattle marketing pulled out of the GIPSA rule. That was a big win for us because it allows us to market our cattle in the way that we see fit without having the government right in the middle of it. Now, there was still a competitive injury clause in that wasn't removed, it was just postponed. But we were able to remove the funding from the appropriations bill, so we have got until next September to see if we can't get a permanent fix in for that. As far as the rules on dust, Administrator Jackson from the EPA has pulled the rule regulating farm dust. That is a huge win for us, so we have 5 years to come up with a statutory fix on that level. And if we look at the other side with some of the promotional work we do with the checkoff, we've produced a document called the Cattleman Stewardship Review, which really defines who cattlemen are. It's time that we defined who we are rather than have other groups define it for us. And so that's a great document, a great resource that people can find on explorebeef.org. And I think it's good for in schools or libraries or wherever you need to educate consumers. And we did all of that and put $2 million in reserve. So we are financially strong for the long haul, and it's going to be a great win for us.
That's great. Great accomplishments, JD. I know you're not the type of guy to rest on our laurels, so what are some of your priorities as you look forward into 2012?
It has been a great year. I've got to echo what Bill said. It's been a great year, and we don't rest on our laurels. We're always looking to the future. We're going to continue to look at trade. The thing that I always remember is that we've got 96% of the world's population outside the United States. And there's a lot of mouths to feed. Their level of living is getting higher. Once you do that, they want a better standard of a meal, more protein, and we want beef to be the center of the plate. So we're going to continue to look at trade. Another issue that we've got to look at next year is coming around looking at the estate tax again. We put that to rest a couple years ago in 2012. It resurfaces. We're going to have to address that because it goes back to, I think the number is $1 million exemption. And then anything above and beyond that is taxed at 55%. That's devastating to our producers. We're all about moving our business to the next generation. With those type of taxes, it's next to impossible. One of my favorite sayings is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I think the thing that we've got to remember there is NCBA looks at all issues. We don't just pick the ones we think we can win. And fight on, but we look at all issues, and there's none that are basically exempt for us from looking at. So we're looking forward to a lot of things. We're going to have our boots on the hill is definitely going to be active.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I'd like you to look forward into the future and tell us, what do you see 5 years from now for this association?
I wish I had my crystal ball here. In 5 years, we would like to see our membership up to about 40,000 members. We'd like to continue to see the organization remain the strong organization advocating for producers. In the political realm, we'd also like to see more checkoff money, quite honestly. We are a contractor for the checkoff, and we do a lot of work for all cattle producers, whether they're NCBA members or not. And we'd like to see that money come up so that we could continue to do better work for that. We've got to continue on where we are. We've got to continue on build on these strengths and wins that we've already had and continue to face the issues that arise.
Very good. So, Bill, if we're going to get to that 40,000 members, why do you think people should become a member of this organization if they're not already?
Well, all cattlemen should be a member of National Cattlemen's Beef Association because NCBA works on all issues for cattlemen. And we want to be a servant to the industry. We're not a master of it, we're a servant for it. And we can do that much more effectively the more input we have from all cattlemen. So I think every cattleman should join. We need the numbers to have political clout, but we need their ideas as well. And through that, we can have a team that will be the trusted voice of the cattle industry.
JD, I wanted to ask you a question. There are a lot of diverse perspectives in our industry and a lot of people who think differently on a number of different topics. How does NCBA try to find common ground among those various cattlemen, and what is the role in forming policy once you found that common ground?
The thing that we really stress is we're a grassroots organization, and a lot of the things that we look at and debate and talk about amongst ourselves is things that are developed at the local level. It could be an individual producer out there that has an issue that thinks we can help him on. Usually he goes to their state, and the state then debates it, talks about it to see if it is legitimate or not. Then a lot of times the state will bring it forward, and we have our national meetings. We get together with all the states. Then they'll discuss it. I call it kind of a check and balance system. It might be right for one state, but not necessarily for another. It might be right for a region and not another. But it's discussion, it's hall talk, it's debate, and it's voted on. We're a democratic organization where, if somebody has something and it's a good idea, it'll be discussed, talked about, voted on, either up or down. And if it does get voted in, it becomes our policy. And then that's our driving force of how we direct our staff to go ahead and talk about the issue to the politicians or whoever need be as far as getting it accomplished.
Scott, if people are watching this and intrigued about the possibility of becoming a member, what's the one thing you'd want them to know?
I would want them to know that NCBA is working to keep them profitable in their cattle business. And that gives them the opportunity to pass it on to future generations, to stay in business, to be sustainable. Profit is the answer to keeping us in the cattle business, and that's what NCBA is working for on all these different fronts.
Well, I know you all are taking a lot of time away from your own operations to serve in this capacity of leadership, and let me tell you, as one cattleman to another, we appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Join these cattlemen as members of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. To do so, call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org.